Hello, and welcome back to the Beyond the Barbell podcast. I'm Ashley, coach, mom, powerlifter, and someone who is here to kind of tell her story and give you guys some tips about staying and getting lean. At this point, when this episode comes out, summer will be kind of just beginning, and it is always like the mad dash to get your shit together because you want to feel good in your swimsuit and your summer clothes and all those things. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. What I want to kind of dismantle today is that this doesn't mean we need to take up less space and always constantly thinking about getting smaller. And I want to kind of shift the perspective a little bit while still also giving you guys practical ways to go about losing fat, but in a way that's sustainable and a way that still supports you feeling strong, physically, mentally, emotionally, because I'm sure I'm not alone in this, as we've all done the crazy, especially if you're a 90s baby, such as myself, we've done all sorts of crazy diets. And maybe they have worked for a period of time, but they definitely don't leave us feeling strong, physically, mentally, or emotionally. They usually leave us feeling pretty hangry and miserable. And the results never seem to stick around and last long, right? So whether you're here to lose fat, lift heavy, feel better in your body, finally stop overthinking every single meal and stressing out every time your plans change abruptly and you end up at a restaurant when you thought you were going to be eating something you planned for dinner, all those things. I have been there many times. Sorry, shifting my microphone here. So today we're going to kind of just cut through all of the BS as per usual and tell you exactly what works and where you need to focus your energy. Sorry, lots of moving around over here. And I'm doing something really exciting, and I wanted to loop you guys in and invite you along on this journey with me. So it's the beginning of June when this comes out. I'm recording it right now. It's actually the end of May. We're a little bit behind schedule. And I gotta be honest, we're a little bit tired this morning. So if you're watching this, I did my best over here, but I went out last night with my friends, same friends that I've had for like literally my entire life. I had 2 drinks, which I don't drink. So it's like I have maybe 10 drinks a year. But I was up until like 1 a.m. And then Luca was up at his normal, like 7:08. And I am feeling it right now. But I really wanted to get these episodes recorded. So we're here and we're doing it tired. We're doing it very tired. So if you see me referencing my notes, it's because my brain is literally tired. But anywho, I am going to be embarking on my first ever official fat loss phase, cut, diet, whatever word you want to basically like working on lowering my body fat, basically for the first time definitely since having Luca, but even beyond that, because if you think about it, you're pregnant for 10 months and then he's now, when this comes out, he'll be just have turned 17 months. So what is that math? 12 plus 17, 29 plus months, because even before I got pregnant, I was really just in like maintenance. I wasn't in any type of fat loss phase. I was actually like 7 pounds heavier than I walk around at now post baby, probably because I lost a little bit of muscle mass that I just like haven't gotten back yet. And your body just kind of, comps postpartum. But anywho, we're doing our first fat loss phase in a long time, basically. And I want to show you and teach you guys that fat loss, especially summertime, so this is like a little bit later than I would have ideally done it, but I want to go over all this stuff with you guys, and then I have something really cool that I want to share with you at the end of the episode. I'm doing a little something called the summer shred, which we will get into. And like I said, this is a little bit later in the year than I would have ideally done it because it's like June. But if you live in the East Coast, let's be honest, our summer is like mid to end of July to August. It's again May 25th right now, and it's been 40 something and 50 something degrees. People I know were at a Dave Matthews concert last night outside, and they were literally wearing winter coats and Carhartt beanies. So we have a very short summer. We have time, but I was competing. I did compete the middle of May. If you've been following along, you've probably at this point seen how it went. It was amazing. It went really, really well. But I walk around at my weight class, so there was like no cutting. Wasn't going to just like lower my calories for the sake of being leaner when I wanted to be stronger and lift as heavy as possible, right? So the two don't necessarily go hand in hand for competition. So long-winded explanation. That's why we're starting now. So in this episode, I'm going to take you behind the scenes of how I'm going to approach my own fat loss goals during the summer shred, which I'll go over the details briefly. They'll be in the show notes as well, without stress extremes, all or nothing mindset. And for the first time ever, because I am someone that did track macros for a very, very long period of time. We're talking like a decade on and off. So I'm approaching this fat loss phase with zero tracking inside MyFitnessPal whatsoever. And I want to teach you guys how to do it and let you know that like you can do it too, because being an ex macro tracker, if you will, it like makes me so sad when I talk to new clients or potential new clients that want to lose a little bit of weight, want to lose a little bit of body fat, or just, want to feel a little bit better in their skin. And they feel like the only thing that's ever worked for them is tracking macros, which it does work. But their current lifestyle situation is not conducive to them tracking full time. Either they just like can't stick with it consistently for whatever X, Y, or Z reason, which we're not going to get into here, or they just don't want to. And like, I'm definitely in the I don't want to do this anymore category. I don't think it's a long-term life sentence, and I hate that it is marketed that way. It definitely will teach you a lot. So if you've never tracked your food, highly recommend doing it for a period of time. It's very eye-opening, but I don't think that it's not a life sentence. You don't need to do it forever. And I want to teach you that, you can come off of doing something like this and still get the results that you want and ultimately still maintain them, because let's be honest, we've all lost the weight before, but the maintenance of it is where people get a little stuck, right? So anyway, we're going to talk about biggest mistake most people make during summer fat loss attempts, what I'm prioritizing in my workouts, nutrition, and recovery, and how I'm setting myself up to maintain these results after the summer ends. So if you've ever wanted to kind of lean out, again, without all the overwhelming, complicated 8 bajillion steps, keep listening because we're getting into it right now. So, first and foremost, I truly believe if you're not going to do anything else, or you end up not listening to the rest of this episode, the most important thing that you can do, the most important thing you should prioritize is planning and prepping your food. This is what really screws people up. They don't plan out what they're having for the week. And no, this does not mean you need to micromanage and plan out every single meal you're having every single day, but you need to have some idea of what the fuck is going on, because we then need to go to the grocery store and make sure we have the stuff in home. And then step 3, this is really, if you want to make a fat loss phase or just being consistent, whether you're trying to lose fat or just maintain throughout the year, if you want to make that really stupid, simple, easy, where you just it's automatic and you don't have to think about it, you have to prep some portion of your food. Most of us are either stay-at-home moms running an entire household and chasing after multiple children, or we're also, moms, plus we have careers, we have jobs, and then you're trying to also juggle in the gym, showing up for your partner. Maybe you also have dogs. I have 3. Time is limited here, right? I can't cook every single meal from scratch, nor do I want to, which means if I don't have my shit together and I don't have my shit planned, that is when the takeout happens, or the snacking instead of eating a meal, which then ultimately just leads to more snacking down later on in the day. The, living off of protein bars, the, eating shit that you didn't really want to because it's convenient. And again, this goes for, the entire year, but your life will be so much easier if you just commit to doing this. And we can talk strategies and different ways to do this in a second. But especially during a fat loss phase, we don't want to leave. We already have to make so many decisions in a day. Let's just eliminate all of the decisions, or most of all the decisions around food, because then what this does is we think and we plan once, and then we eat, quote unquote, on plan, 20 something plus times. So you put in the effort and a little bit of thought, a little bit of planning, a little bit of prepping, one, maybe 2 times throughout the week. We're talking a total of anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours, depending on skill in the kitchen, how much you want to cook, how much you don't want to cook, etc. And you are locked in for the entire week. Versus the other route, if you're really stubborn about this and you just don't do it and you don't want to do it, every single day you have to figure out what you're eating. For most of us, should be eating 3 to 4 meals per day, especially if you are remotely active and lifting. I'm going to say 4, if not more. 4 meals per day across 7 days. So that's 28. Plus, we have kids in the mix who, that they can sometimes be a little picky. Basically feeding the household, right? There's very few of us listening, I would say, that are just worrying about ourselves when it comes to eating. So that's 28 plus decisions, conversations, time to cook, potentially going to the store. It's literally just a waste of your time. And for, again, those of us that are already strapped for time to begin with, we don't have the extra time to do all this, which then means we end up eating Dunkin' Donuts breakfast sandwiches every day. We skip lunch. Then we're starving at dinner time. We snack on cheese and crackers while we're preparing dinner. And then, maybe dinner, we pull it together and we have a pretty balanced meal. And then we're snacking all night leading up to bed because we're starving. And then it's I'm having a really hard time losing weight. I'm having a really hard time dropping body fat. I work out all the time and I don't look like it. This is why. One of the main reasons why. So if you do nothing else and you want to look better, feel better, be more comfortable in your skin over the course of the next several weeks, start planning, shopping, and prepping for the week. Again, there's multiple different ways that you can do this. If you are stuck when it comes to meal prepping and you need some more help, shoot me a message on Instagram, which is just fitness.by Ashley with the word meal prep. And I will send you over. I have a 50-page guide breaking down meal prepping, from what's going to be the most cost effective to what's going to be more expensive to how long something is going to take. It's broken down by macros, so protein, carbs, fats, vegetables, etc. Recipes, it's literally everything that I have learned over the past 10 plus years built into a manual, if you will. And it really all starts with that, because when we have that done, we have that unlocked, now it's much easier for me to not only just stay on track with the things that I know are going to make me feel better. I know the things that are going to make me feel less bloated, the things that are going to give me more energy, the things that are going to support my training and help me build muscle and stay lean, et cetera, et cetera. I lost my train of thought. Oh my God. Oh, it's also going to be so much easier to manipulate portion sizes, which we all know, if you want to see weight loss, you need to be in a calorie deficit, right? You want to lose some fat, you need to be in a calorie deficit. And that comes not from restricting every single thing that you love, because again, we're talking about, we want this to be sustainable for the long haul. That is not sustainable for the long haul. So let's just not do that again. We've already done that. 10 plus times every single year on repeat, probably since you're like 15, sadly. And instead, we can adjust portion sizes and we can still fit in all of our favorite foods because we've got everything kind of planned and prepared and ready to go. If you do nothing currently and that sounds really overwhelming, I would say pick one thing that you can prep for the week that's just going to make your life easier. For most people, I would say 9 out of 10 people that I talk to and have worked with over the years, that is protein. So they bulk prep some protein for the week, and then they can easily add it to meals all week long, typically for lunches and dinners. So find a couple things that you like, set aside an hour over the weekend or an hour during the week, do some batch cooking. That could also look like just making more for dinner and having leftovers. You are going to see much more results from doing that, and you are going to feel so much better. Imagine, like, I'm doing this for 6 weeks, right? So we do that for 6 weeks. I also then know what I need to adjust if things aren't moving along as I would like them to. Versus when we're constantly doing random things and eating out and trying to juggle all of that in, it's really so much harder, especially when we're talking about doing this without tracking in MyFitnessPal. It's so much harder to know where you need to make change because there's so many variables. So my second piece of advice would be try to remain relatively consistent. This doesn't mean you need to eat the same thing for 6 weeks. I will not be doing that, and I will share what I'm eating along the way just because you guys are always super curious. But we do want to have some continuity. We do want to have some repeat offenders, if you will, where we know what's in them because we've read the label, read the nutrition label, or maybe you've plugged it into MyFitnessPal one time to see, okay, if I make this meal, what does it look like? Does it give me what I need in terms of like carbs, proteins, fats, etc.? And then and you can just make it the same every single time. I don't need to track it in MyFitnessPal every single time to know now what it is, right? So you could see how it's like you do the work one time and then, this becomes a staple, or this becomes something in your rotation, or this becomes something you eat several times during that week. I know what the fuck is going on. And I don't need MyFitnessPal to reassure me and tell me. And then I also know in a week or two, if things have kind of plateaued and they're not moving, I know where I can go then back into these recipes that I kind of repeat and adjust portion sizes. So, second piece of advice would be find some staples that you enjoy, that you like eating, that you could see yourself eating forever. Remember, we're not just like eating diet food, and repeat them. An example really quick, just to help you guys wrap your head around that, is like I have a couple of different breakfasts that I rotate between. One of which is protein oatmeal. The base is always the same. It's oatmeal, a serving size, which at this point I just eyeball. But if you really wanted to be a little bit precise, you could stick the bowl on the scale and you could weigh out the serving size just so you know it's the right amount. Again, you don't need to track this in MyFitnessPal. Look at the serving size on the back of the packaging. It's 45 grams, I'm pretty sure. Weigh out 45 grams. Boom. I don't need MyFitnessPal to retell me what the nutrition label is already telling me. And then I do a scoop away, some type of fruit, which is usually berries, and then some type of like nut butter or peanut butter, some type of like fat on repeat. The only thing that I change is the flavor of protein powder and or the fruit. It's a very simple, easy breakfast. I don't even need to prep it. It takes literally 2 minutes to make. And it's a really well-balanced portion of carbs, fats, and proteins to start my day off with. If I needed to tweak it down the road, I would know that I would probably pull back a little bit on the nut butter, or I would like swap that out for the time being to something like PB2 powder. So get the flavor of the protein or the peanut butter, less fat, and then I would probably add in some other type of fat source in a smaller quantity, something like that, right? So you could see how this one meal then becomes repeatable all the time, and I always know what it is. Create some of those for yourself and stick to them. And honestly, this is what I do all year round, not just when I'm trying to lean out. The third thing is, don't all of a sudden stop lifting weights, stop lifting heavy specifically, and think that you need to then go to lighter weights, more repetitions. This is still one of the most common misconceptions out there. And I don't know why it won't die, but people keep thinking this is what you need to do. This is absolutely not what you need to do. You need to keep, ideally, your program has a little bit of everything. It has some strength work in there, it has some hypertrophy work in there, meaning you're lifting at multiple different rep schemes throughout the week. If you have a well-balanced strength training program that you're following. This may change at periods of the year, depending on if you have specific goals. Or like myself, if you're competing, I just came off of a very strength specific cycle with lower volume towards the end overall. But now I'm right back into moderate to high volume because I'm not competing, right? So training should reflect that, but just keep lifting heavy. Just because you are dieting doesn't mean you can't lift heavy, and also doesn't mean that you shouldn't. We want to keep as much strength and as much muscle mass as possible while going through this. The worst thing that can happen is you go through this and what you lose is muscle. We don't want to lose that. We want to keep the muscle and lose the fat. So therefore, you need to keep training hard, lifting heavy, amongst other things. And you need to make sure that you're eating enough protein, right? Fourth thing, yes, that I will be doing and would recommend you do as well, is get your ass moving more. So during the normal ebbs and flows throughout the year, I would say my step count average is about 7,500. It's not super high. You might think, because I'm a personal trainer and nutrition coach and I own this company and this brand, that it would be way higher. But newsflash for you guys, the sad reality is I sit in this chair that you see here for a lot of hours during the day. If I'm not sitting, then yes, this is where I'm active, where I'm outside playing with the kid and the dogs. We're walking the dogs. I'm going on walks, etc. So during this fat loss phase specifically, so for the next 6 weeks, I am going to try, or not going to try, I am going to increase my steps. That may mean that I, instead of reading in the morning for 30 minutes to 45 minutes, I may, because that's when I can do this, read for 15 minutes and walk for 30. Or I may actually just break down and buy a walking pad. It's been on my mind for a really long time, and this summer shred may be the perfect reason why I justify needing this, because I need to get my steps in. Plus also, the reality is I have a kid. So when he's sleeping, I just pace the driveway. I can't just leave the house. I'm the only one home. So it's hard. It's hard to get movement in, but it is key. It is a way that you can create a larger calorie deficit that doesn't require you to recover from. You don't need to recover from walking. And it doesn't mean, it allows you to still eat a decent amount of food. So if you can find ways to get your steps up, you're consistently prepping and planning your meals for the week, you're continuing to lift heavy, you are going to be in really, really great shape. And then the last thing that I'll touch on, and again, this may be harder for others depending on what season of life you're in or how old your kids are, is to try to really prioritize your sleep. These 5 things are the main things and the only things that you need to focus on, and don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. The sleep one, I get it. Luckily now, knock on wood, Luca sleeps through the night, but I know that's not always the case. But do not revenge stay awake. As a parent, when your kid finally does go to sleep, sometimes, myself included, we finally get to relax. We finally get that alone time that we've wanted so desperately. And what that does is it ends up pushing our bedtime back further and further and further. And in the short term, we're like, yes, I need this. I'm doing this for me. I deserve this. And you do. But in the long term, what you're doing is you're just cutting down on the sleep that you should be getting, that you need to be getting. And you're creating a larger and larger sleep deficit. And unfortunately, as I'm sure all of you know, when we don't get enough sleep, we under recover. We have a really hard time repairing and rebuilding muscle. This happens when you're resting and sleeping. And not to mention the next day you're going to wake up with all sorts of hunger and cravings, because your body is going to produce more of the hunger hormone, leptin, and you are going to physically feel hungrier than normal. And it's very hard to not act on that. And it's, again, we're already in a calorie deficit at this point. We're already going to be hungry. We don't need anything else making it harder than it's already going to be. Because the last little thing that I will say here is we need to normalize that it's okay to be a little bit hungry, and we will be a little bit hungry. And that's actually a great sign to tell us that we are in a calorie deficit and are in fact losing weight or body fat. And we don't need to act on it immediately. You're not going to die if you wait an extra hour to eat during this time frame. So this is what I will be focusing on. And I'm very real. I'm keeping it 100. I'm not doing any secret extra things that I'm not telling you about. I'm lifting 4 days a week, which is my norm, has been my norm since having a kid. I'm increasing my steps to ideally closer to 10,000 versus like the 7,500 I've been averaging as of lately. I'm already meal prepping, but I'm going to definitely bump it up a little bit because there are definitely times during the week where we don't have enough food and we're scrambling a little bit, right? Not immune to that. We're human. So I will be making sure meal preps are a little bit more robust with extra emphasis on vegetables because I'm going to really need to lean on that volume in meals to help keep me fuller and satisfied with the protein. And then sleep, pretty solid, but I definitely could do a better job of not revenge staying up sometimes and reading or watching TV. So really going to try to get my butt in bed by 9:15 because once I'm in bed, I literally read like 3 pages of my book and then my eyes start shutting and I go to sleep. I just have to get in the bed. If I'm downstairs, I can magically read longer and watch TV longer. But the second I get into bed and lay down and then try to read, it's a different story. It's game over. And then I think that was it. Meal prepping, beefier meal prep, prioritizing my sleep a little bit better, bumping up my steps a little bit more, continuing with my training, and monitoring my progress, of course, which we didn't really cover. But for me, that's going to look like a combination of I'm comfortable getting on the scale a couple times a week. I pretty much do that all year round. So I'll be continuing to do that, as well as just paying attention to how I look and how my clothes are fitting. Those are the most important indicators to me. And they tell me a lot and will tell me whether or not I'm heading in the right direction. I don't give a shit what I weigh personally. And that's truthfully I don't care what the number says on the scale at all. I want to look jacked, feel strong as fuck, lift heavy as fuck, and continue to have visible abs and muscle definition, specifically in my legs, which are my most stubborn area on my body, and have been chasing quad goals for a very, very long time. And I just spent the past 2+ years in a maintenance and building phase. So the muscle is there. And now I'm going to try and reveal a little bit more of it because we definitely put in the work to build it. So that is my game plan. That is what I will be focusing on for the next 6 weeks. I'm going to leave details in the show notes because I'm inviting you guys to join me. So we're calling it the Summer Shred. It's going to be 6 weeks long. And let me make sure I don't screw up the dates here, but I will put it all in the show notes for you. It is going to start on June 9th and it runs until July. I'm pretty sure it's July 18th, right? I'm literally staring at it. So June 9th to July 18th, Summer Shred, 6 weeks long. It's $29 if you want to join me. There's going to be an intro call, end of the program call, weekly kind of check-ins, accountabilities, tips, just camaraderie because we're all doing this together. It is not a one-on-one coaching container. That would be crazy town. I'm sorry, I love you guys, but I can't coach you all for $29 a month or $29 for 6 weeks. I just can't do it. But if you are wanting a little kind of summer reset or just want to feel a little bit better as we roll into the summer months, again, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You can hate me for saying that, but it's just I want to look better in a bikini. I want to feel confident in a bikini. I spent a lot of time in my bathing suit this summer. And not to say that I wouldn't put on a bathing suit now and totally own it. I absolutely would. But I have some aesthetic goals, and I'm not afraid to share it. So if you have some as well, I'm inviting you to join me. We are doing this together. This is going to be, again, my first cut in a very, very long time. I'm going to be in the trenches with you guys, and I would love the support. I do not want to do this alone. 6 weeks long. It's $29. There's going to be tons of goodies, tons of little surprises within the 6 weeks. I'll drop the link in the show notes if you want to join me. We are starting June 9th. You have to get signed up by June 8th because then we are hitting the ground running. We do not have any time to waste whatsoever. Like I said, this is going to carry into July. And don't you worry, I know some of you are going to be like, well, I'm going on vacation during that time frame, or the 4th of July, blah, 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 blah. First of all, it's $29. So, like, you deserve that for yourself. It's like literally 3 trips to Starbucks. And I'm going to teach you how to navigate these situations during the 6-week time frame. Because again, like I said, I'm in there with you. I will be celebrating 4th of July. I will be going on trips and traveling. Actually, I'll be going to Georgia during this time frame with Kelly, where she'll be competing in nationals. So I will be flying and on the road for 3 days. So I will be looping you in on how I'm remaining dialed into this cut while doing that. So if you want to learn how to do that as well and how to do it in the future, you need to be here. You need to be in the summer shred, and you need to get your ass signed up right now. Thank you so much for being here. Whether you join us or not, I just gave you 5 really helpful tips that will help you cut through the noise of what the fuck you need to focus on and what you don't need to focus on. So if you have any questions, as always, feel free to reach out to me. Fitness period by Ashley is the Instagram handle. Like and share the show with a friend, and I will see you next time.